Perfect. Yeah, there we go. I like to record these anyways. That way, if you guys want to reference it, you've
That's
got
awesome.
it.
I always go back and look at these, so it's perfect. That's
Oh,
perfect. Thank you.
good, great, awesome. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Looks like there he is. Josh is joining us.
Hey guys.
Josh, how's it going?
Good. Sorry I'm late. I was on the phone with our mutual friend Jay Hidalgo. So sorry.
No way.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I was gonna ask you how is he, but I'm talking to him regularly too right now. So
Yeah, he's doing good. Yeah. And by the way, you don't look like a Brittany. So
are you still on Brittany? Oh, sorry. Yeah,
I forgot to change it.
by the way.
I'm Brittany. Nice to meet you.
He's on his wife's computer. Yeah, this always happens on Zoom calls. Now it's just a joke. I always greet him as Brittany.
I just leave it now.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Josh.
Yeah, likewise.
Well, yeah, your timing is like perfect. Aaron just told us like we could jump right into this, and then I noticed I was getting that notification that you're in. So maybe we'll catch up at the end, but I'm just going to get right into this if you don't mind, Josh.
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. So, Aaron, Josh, we've kind of reached the end of our initial engagement, our process of really just looking at what is possible for CIL. So what I'd like to do is just kind of at a really high level, I'm just going to present everything that we found and kind of put together. Then I'm going to pass it over to Brady, who's going to kind of walk you through that SOP that we talked about, the standard operating procedure. So essentially what we have done is take a look at your domain, understood your customers, understood who you want to get in front of, and said, here's your battle plan, more or less. So without further ado, let me get into this. There we go. So obviously right here, plan the work. I stole this from our mutual friend, Jay Hidalgo. Plan the work, then work the plan. So in this phase, what we did at a very high level is identify those opportunities and determine what actions we need to take to help you guys realize them. So now we're in that phase of, okay, work the plan. Now, when we originally met, when I was talking to Aaron about going through this process, we were, for the most part, under the understanding that you guys could do a lot of this work yourselves. I understand in the current reality that we find ourselves in, that's probably even more realistic right now than us working on some kind of retainer together. Because typically what we do is most customers, we do done for you. So it's like, hey, we present this plan, then we get you bought in, like, oh yes, we have to do this. Then it's some kind of retainer and we build this out over time. But we also put it together so that you should ideally be able to execute it yourselves. And again, understanding the current realities of the world we're in with cash flows and tons of layoffs, I still want to do whatever we can to support you guys through this. So don't hesitate as you dive into this to reach out with a question here or there. Even if we just have to table any kind of retainer relationship, I believe in this, like what we've put together, I'm really excited about. I know that if you dig into this and really stick to it, CIL will get some quality leads, some quality opportunities from your website if you work this plan. So just wanted to say that before we kind of get into this. But yeah, at the end of the day, once the plan gets worked, you're going to start seeing results. So just kind of the key findings, what I like to do is take a look at all of our documentation and just kind of say like, okay, what did we find as we went through our process? Just kind of from a data and numbers perspective. While it's not comprehensive, we put together a list of 268 total keywords. So these keywords are, ranging from low funnel, like high intent to be interested in an app developer, software developer, innovation consulting, et cetera, all the way up to kind of the more high end of the funnel where they're just kind of like researching, maybe trying to understand a topic like agile versus scrum development. But to kind of narrow this down just a little bit, 38 of those keywords are included in the local pack of search engine results page, meaning that when they get searched, they're going to show a local business. So Google believes those keywords have intentions to work with a local business. And since you guys have and you made it pretty clear to us that the Chicago, Grand Rapids markets are really important to you. That's kind of where we narrowed our focus a little bit, at least in presenting this data here. And anyways, of those 38 keywords, you have a national monthly search volume of 26,630. And again, these keywords never fully comprehensive, right? We cannot account for all the many ways that people may search for something that you can offer, but this gives a good idea of what we need to do in order to increase the visibility for those keywords and anything related to them. Then we have just looking at the Chicago market, we have a total monthly addressable search engine market of 3,430. So of those 38 keywords, it's a lot of people that we believe on a regular basis are looking for or could be looking for what you have to offer. Then what we were able to do with our software is take these 38 keywords with your domain and the ones that show up for the local pack and see that your visibility currently is at 0, as in you don't show up. You might show up like on page 5, 6, 7 for any one of these things, right? But that's essentially invisible on Google. So we look at that and I go, hey, yeah, that's bad, but it also means like we have plenty of room for improvement. So here's just a screenshot of that. You can see just in that software, your domain, the Chicago, Illinois, and then those 38 keywords. And now I'm just going to kind of give you the high level approach to all of this. So the keyword research phase, what we did is that thorough discovery process where you filled out that form, Aaron, that really helped us figure out like, what do we need to be paying attention to? What you're looking at here is some of the keywords with the most volume. It's like, okay, agile, what are they looking for? We know you're not going to rank #1 for the term agile, but we realize that it's important. So it's kind of a signal. We need to look at your domain and say, if somebody is going to be looking for an agile developer, agile agency, et cetera, in Chicago, in Grand Rapids, we need to make sure you at least have some of the right signals, some of the right content on your site. So that's why we add it to our list. It's a part of that customer's potential buying journey. So we put together that comprehensive list. Then what we attempt to do is essentially group those keywords into topics with consideration to the relationship to one another, but then also really trying to think through the searcher's possible intentions and the searcher's possible position, in that journey from high end of the funnel to like, hey, I'm very interested in the service. I'm about to reach out to you. So this is what we came up with. And what we try to do is kind of match them to what you offer as a service, right? Like it's never going to be so one-to-one, so black and white that, okay, here's all these keywords. And then like, this is how they relate to one another. This is how we can group them into topics. And then you have your services, right? So, and they're not always the exact same, but this is kind of our process of doing that. So you guys have access to this. And if you'd like on this call, Brady can kind of walk you through this, but these are groups. They're like little drop downs in the Google Sheets so that you can see all of those keywords. So essentially from there, what we do is the keyword groups are then matched to kind of the low funnel, ready to buy content, or your service level pages, and the mid to high funnel content. So those are blog posts in your sitemap. So you can see here a screenshot. What we did is just import your current website sitemap into SlickPlan. And then in white, you can see those are essentially kind of I think the screenshot is showing updates, the blog post essentially. So these are like topic ideas. It's like, okay, if you guys want to get in front of those buyers in that grouped keyword list, here's kind of like, this is a post we know we're going to make. This is just kind of like, in many ways, we don't use a sitemap in the traditional sense. It's more like how is this going to be organized? And we almost use it as like a content calendar, right? Kind of a content plan at a very high level. So again, the sitemap was built to create content eventually that, built out at scale is meeting the possible intentions of those searchers from all of those groups that we put together, right? Now, it's never so easy as like, okay, let's, write the best post ever on what is design thinking. And then, hey, great, you're number one for all these, the thousands of people that are looking for design thinking. It's never that simple. But what we do, and I might be getting ahead of myself. What's the next slide? Nope. What we do is put together content templates. So Brady put those together for an initial set. He can show you those here in a second, but they're essentially directives, frameworks, battle plans, however you want to describe them, for what exactly you need to write about to position an article like what is design thinking for authority, for really proving, both at the low funnel level and the high funnel level, that you guys know design thinking, that you understand it, and that's going to attract the right kind of people throughout the funnel to your website. But then what we do over time is, okay, we've got that post on what is design thinking live. We monitor like, hey, what are the improvements in search engine visibility? And then over time, we take a look at that and go, hey, how can we improve maybe that post, or where can we take one of the subtopics of design thinking and create a branch, a new blog post. And that kind of helps us, again, kind of cover all those possible intentions, because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is create a library of helpful, useful content for your target audience. And that's what allows people to, find you, and you guys become the authority. So working the plan, there's a lot of things in the SOP that are more or less one-time SEO things. Like we put together, I know, a list of local listings or citations, like places like, hey, you guys just need to make sure you get yourself listed here. It just kind of helps, especially from the local level, and that's a great place to start, validate that you are truly a business, et cetera. So there's a lot of those one-time things, but then what we ideally like to do is kind of go through all those one-time things, then get into a rhythm, right? And I know you guys already have a rhythm, like with your podcast. It looks like your blog, you've always been very active with it, but kind of getting into this very strategic rhythm of producing content based upon all of the findings that we have for you. And we try to break it down into these three, once we can get to that place every month: the content creation, content promotion, and then reporting and strategy adjustments. So what we do is we typically like to work on a 90-day forecast, so to speak. So it's like, hey, for the next 90 days, if it's just one blog post a month, here are the three that we do. We don't want to go too far out, because like I said, we might find like, oh, that post that we wrote a few months ago is performing really well. Now let's double down. Let's figure out how we can increase the visibility, have bring in even more people on that topic, because it's working really well. So that's on the reporting and strategy adjustments. That's where we can look and say, oh, wow, we're actually getting the most leads to your website because of this blog post over here. And rather than posting this new one on this other topic, let's actually just double down on this. So that's why we don't go too far out. So what happens when you guys I want to like kind of give you, the motivation really to work this plan, to put this all together, by giving you some screenshots of what happens when you consistently create this great content. This is Google Search Console. So I love Google Search Console. I actually, every Friday, Brady, Jared, and I were the three SEO geeks at Avalanche. We literally, you're supposed to come to the table every Friday with like a new like SEO tactic, or something new you learned, or something new you tried. And I swear the last like few weeks, mine have all been around Google Search Console. And Search Console is just showing you all of Google's data. You can actually see the true keywords that are, driving traffic to your site and all the increased visibility. But we've been finding just these really fun ways to use that data to inform the adjustments in the strategy. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent there. I just love it. You guys need to spend more time on it if you're not in it. But anyways, yeah, this is just a screenshot of a customer. We started, and I think this one was around January 2019. So you can see purple is impressions in the search engine results page. Blue are clicks. So you kind of hit that point where it's like, hey, yeah, we're growing, but then you kind of hit that ramping up period. This is a website that we actually built and launched and then all the way through. And another one, some of them are less impressive, but still, I think we're doubling traffic on some of this stuff. But anyways, the reason that we can contribute to all this is going through that process of positioning this website really well, then continually producing really good content. So my call to action is usually, are you guys ready? I hope so. And I think you should be. And now is the time, especially I know you're trying to make a lot of sales, and create some new opportunities on the other side of COVID-19. So I think this is it based on what we found. But I will stop sharing here for a second, and Brady's going to take over and just kind of introduce you to that SOP.
Yes. Okay.
Unless you guys have any questions on all that. Okay.
Good on that. Okay, cool. I'm going to quick share my screen here. All right. Can you guys see it?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So there's a lot in this document. I definitely want to point that out first. Like we could spend a lot of time on this, but I don't want to do that. There's about 8 main points that I want to touch on, and I'm going to try to skip through it as much as I can, but I want to at least hit these main points so you can kind of see what is laid out, because a lot of it is just like it's set up in a way that you can basically take it, read through it really briefly, and then just go execute. So that there's less work that you have to do on your end in order to be able to execute. So, okay, so let's see. So this is on the SOP doc. I'm going to start here at the local audit. Okay, and the local audit is just basically like looking at, how you guys are ranking on a local level and, like different things that you can do to better rank on a local level. Obviously with your localities being in both Chicago and Grand Rapids. So I talked about what we actually did, and then I highlighted the areas where you can actually go in and maybe take an action to do something different. So like with Chicago and Grand Rapids, with both of these, I added what's called a UTM code to the website link, so that when people are clicking your website links out of Google My Business, you'll actually be able to see that that's where it's coming from. So it just provides like an extra layer of, just understanding where some of these clicks are coming through. The business description, I put a business description in there just because there wasn't one, but I was basically copying and pasting from some of your web pages and then just kind of like marrying it together and making sure that it sounded good enough for now. I actually I'm gonna use one of your terms. I created an MVP, a minimum viable product. So
there you go.
I love just have to go in.
Perfect.
I was telling Lance said that the other day, and I was like, I know what that is now. So that's in there.
Selling, man.
What's that?
You could do our selling then. Yeah, we'll just hand the keys to you. Yeah.
I'm in. Let's go. We're getting scrappy nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was something that you could go and you can just basically review and update that. Is it good? I think you could probably at least add maybe like a third more character count to it. So if you want to add a couple more sentences or throw in some different keywords and things like that. So there's service categories. In your service categories, Google only has a certain number of categories. So I kind of it was a little tricky adding them, but you can actually add descriptions to each one of them. So that's kind of a nice way that you can actually go in and speak more to, okay, here's all the things that we offer inside of this XYZ service. So I think that'll actually really help from a local perspective as well, just basically being found for a local software developer that offers XYZ services, and it'll all be inside of Google, and Google's really trying to ramp up Google My Business anyways. So then you can start to actually put posts and do other things in there around the other content that's inside Google My Business. So try to highlight those areas, uploading some pictures of the office, some pictures of the team. Obviously, we don't know when you're going to be able to, but you can actually hire Google 360 photographers that'll come in and do like a 360 tour of your office, a 360 tour of your building, and then you can upload those to the space. And again, it's just providing more local visibility. The Grand Rapids one specifically, I know that I think you had added it a couple weeks ago. I don't know if Josh, you or if Aaron, you're going to be at the office anytime soon, but that might be something that you could do, is you could grab the card that they send in the mail from the office and then just verify the listing. And then that'll actually push through a lot of these edits and updates that I've made on our end. So if that makes sense, like basically you just have to verify the listing in order to make certain updates. And so
Sure.
some of these updates like the UTM codes and things will push through after that. So those are some pretty small local things that can happen. Let's see, the innovation process is the next, or wait, actually, sorry, I missed the NAP consistency, which is just name, address, and phone number. And this is a link to a Moz post where you can actually put in your business name and listing, and it'll actually, from like a Chicago and a Grand Rapids standpoint, and it'll actually let you know is Facebook, is I think Uber's in there, and there's just a bunch of different like local apps, and it's just basically comparing and saying, are these apps congruent across the board for your name, address, and phone number? And they actually get as down to the wire as like, did you put Avenue in here or did you put AVE for Avenue? So you're wanting to make sure that all that is exactly the same on your website, on Google My Business, and then across your other various platforms. And then we even put a couple in there that you can do. So like Foursquare actually used to be a big social media thing where people would check into locations and blah, blah, blah. But now it's basically just a great way to build links to your site and to get better local listings. And you can go in there for free and just basically set up your name,
people
address,
still
and
use
phone number.
Foursquare?
Yep.
It's still a thing. Wow.
So here's the other thing though too. Like your customers are not going to find you on Foursquare, just like our customers won't, right? Most people won't. Yep. However, it's almost like I relate it to like, think of a friend recommending a restaurant to you, and then they tell you, and you're like, oh, where is that located? And then they're not sure. They're like, oh, I think it's kind of like the way Google thinks, like, right? Like, wait, where's this company? Where's City Innovation Labs? We have all these signals and we're getting mixed messages, or it's almost like every single account that you can have that says, oh, you're a local business. It's that validation that, oh, they exist, and it's all right there.
Mm-hmm.
It might be a simpler way to think about it.
So we should somehow also contact Pokemon Go, make sure we're in there as well. Yeah. Okay.
That would be, if you could get that would be really cool.
Yeah.
I think the hack is you have to have a really unique Pokemon inside your office.
Yeah.
Can you get that? That would be awesome.
That drives the people in, right?
Perfect. Exactly.
That's awesome. Okay, so we got you get set up there, set up for Bing Search Console. Talks about social networks here a little bit. Lance just highlighted the keyword research. In the sitemap that he was showing you, we linked that here. So if you actually want to go in and look at the full sitemap, you can click to it through the link right there. And then the list of keywords is here too. We'll talk about it at some point, but this is essentially the list that Lance was going through and then showing you. Not only is it pretty and colorful, but it's also got a number of keywords in here that are organized by volume, and how you can attack these various things. So we link that. Put that link in there as well, and it's also in your project folder too. Okay, so that was that. Let's see. Okay, so on to content and website changes. One of the big pages that we wanted to add context to is on the innovation process page. So it's a great page. It highlights from basically highlights your process, where it takes you through discover, draft, deliver, and then disrupt. And then each one of the sections actually has kind of its own little keyword that fits inside of various groups that are on your list. So what we did is we actually created content templates, and I'll actually show you this template, and I linked them here too on each section. So design thinking, here's the link to the template. This one was lean software developers, link to the template. And so what the templates are is they're basically a skeleton for how to create a long form post around design thinking or whatever your topic is. So at the beginning part of it, we offer, here's the competitive benchmarking. So here's the top 3 pages that rank for design thinking. And then so that way you can kind of read through each one of these posts to get a general idea of what are these people talking about? How are they talking about it? What angle are they taking at it? And then I always like to read through those and then think of, okay, what angle did nobody else take on design thinking? And then try to offer that. And then as you go down for the page content, we actually laid out, so this is what your heading may look like. It doesn't necessarily need to be this exact heading. What is design thinking? It could be design thinking 101, or it could be the ultimate guide to design thinking for software developers, or like you could use it in a number of various ways. But it's designed to go through the progression of, okay, what is design thinking? Here's a little bit about how we're going to talk about this. So you would be filling in like these sections of the copy. So what is design thinking? Okay, why is it so important? Like, why do I even want to know what this is? What is the design thinking process? And then under that, what are the 5 steps to design thinking? And then back out to how does design thinking work? And each one of these H2 headers that we're using are terms that we're actually finding and sourcing from your keyword list. So like these are actually questions that people are asking, and then we're trying to provide those answers to them, because they're typing it into Google and they're so interested in it that they're actually trying to find you because you're going to help them solve this. And so again, it's going to walk you through all the various stages of what is design thinking. And then it even gives you the meta information. So here's what the title tag can be. You can fill in a meta description and the slug. And then here's all the various keywords that are related to design thinking and how you can kind of add those into your, various document for this.
Yeah.
Any questions on that? Or Lance, anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say, so a lot of times, for every customer we put together these content templates, and they're always going to look different depending on the topic. But there's a couple different routes that you can take. So now that you have this as a base, if you guys like writing, if there's somebody, in-house that is like, oh, I can write about design thinking all day, then it's great to kind of give them this and maybe open up a new Google Doc and just start, formatting that, start going through the page content and kind of building out that framework. Another thing, and since the stay-at-home order, we've been doing even more of these, is you guys can schedule, a call like this and almost act as like an in-house journalist and talk to the subject matter expert, and kind of use this as a guide. And what's great about that, what I love about that is, if you have a subject matter expert who loves to talk about design thinking, you can kind of get them to just dump everything on you. And then if you're a halfway decent journalist, if you're curious enough, if you can ask good questions, you can ask them to elaborate on certain things, and then you have all of that raw data to work with to kind of build that pillar post. Because again, what we're trying to do is make sure it's very clear that you guys know design thinking, and you're setting the bar, you're out there innovating even maybe on the design thinking process, and you're sharing that knowledge. And then again, like we showed in your innovation process page, this just might help. This is how I kind of justify, like, hey, why would we write a post, about everything? Why would we write a post all about design thinking? Well, when I look at that innovation process, I'm constantly like looking at it as if I don't know the answer to things. You mentioned design thinking, and Google is looking at that in the exact same way, understanding it in terms of how big that topic is, based on all the keyword research or keyword data. And it's like, well, what is design thinking? And you guys don't offer a link to help me understand more. So that's exactly why we, don't just create it, but we make sure to place it in your site strategically. That way it's helpful. Then then Google's looking at your domain, your entire site, and saying, okay, wow, this is really helpful. If people are looking for anything, any company, that offers design thinking, and that person wants to know more about it, wow, they've got a great post all about it. That's kind of, it helps to kind of, I think, elaborate on that a little bit to help you guys understand, like, why do we do this? Why would we do this?
Yep.
Yeah, I love this. It's
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
perfect.
Yep. And I think the other thing with that too is that it's an evergreen post. 2 years,
Right.
you guys are still going to want to educate people about design thinking. And so it's like all the new content that you create around design thinking, all of it can link back to that post. And then you wind up ultimately even building your own links based off of your own content, because any post from here on out that talks about design thinking, drop a link in there.
Think it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love this. I've wanted to do this since our website launch. So this is exactly, this is perfect.
Okay, cool. So we got those in there for, it was design thinking, lean software developers, agile software development companies. So notice how like we could write a post about agile software development, which is good, but we kept this since it's coming from a service page geared towards agile software development companies, because the intent of that is somebody trying to find somebody that does agile software development. So there could certainly still be a post called Agile Software Development 101 or something similar to that. And I might even put that on the sitemap as well. So that's where some of those can kind of differentiate a little bit, as you can think about different ways of intent.
So question
again,
for you,
these,
if when we're going through these, like, and we have like all these four, do you think it makes sense to link multiple posts underneath, like, and like, are like top 3 posts about this topic, or is it better to just have one and keep it simple?
I think it's better to have one pillar post, especially when you're linking to it from like a small piece of text like this. It's better to have one pillar post, but then within that pillar post, you can link off to other things. So if there's like a subtopic inside of lean software development that you want to talk about that maybe deserves its own post, then you can link to it from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's kind of like we should have could have put in some visuals here, but yeah, it's like design thinking is kind of our anchor. But over time you can have, you can maybe even create, on the sidebar, I don't remember how the design of your guys' blog post, but, somewhere on that page, like related resources. And I believe you even kind of have the category of design thinking already. So you could just, put all other links related to design thinking. And that way, that particular page not only, covers the topic really well, but it has links to more elaboration.
Everything
So again,
else.
it just kind of becomes that place like, if anybody wants to know anything about design thinking, that this is the best page on the internet for it, right? That's what we're trying. That's what we're trying to create, is like that you guys have the best page on the internet for it.
Exactly. Yep. Okay, so we got the templates in there. And then the next location, this kind of goes a little bit along with the local thing, but location pages, we think will also be really beneficial for you guys for both Chicago and Grand Rapids. So I actually created 2 content templates for location pages specifically. And obviously one of them is going to speak to Grand Rapids software developers, and then the other one's going to speak to Chicago software developers. And then the content templates do the same thing. They'll walk you through, the various keyword research that we did, the different terms that we're using. And I think I actually even put different sections for, so here's the development terms in Chicago, and then here's the development terms in Grand Rapids. And then you can use those different terms throughout the different location pages. So you'd essentially have like a main contact page, and then you'll have, software developers Grand Rapids, software developers Chicago, and those will help you rank from a local level too.
Mm-hmm.
So you got the templates in there. And then actually just kind of a side note, this is low hanging fruit. You guys have your 2 locations in your footer. You could also add your name, address, and phone number here. And then you'd have that information in your footer, which essentially links it throughout the website. And we're seeing that that's kind of becoming like a local SEO trend for people that are looking to go after specific areas. So. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then there's more obviously ideas and stuff in the sitemap. Put another link in there for that. Okay, backlink opportunities. So with your site being as new as it is, there's not a ton of links that are going to it right now. So we've created this backlink gap analysis, and it's linked right here. And it essentially, what we did is we popped in the top 3 to 5, I think it was about 5 total websites that actually I can just click into it and show you real quick. But we popped in your top competitors that we could find from a web perspective, and also from the ones that you highlighted on your on the document that you filled out in the beginning. So we got you right here. Intersog was one of them. SimPalm, Atomic Object, Michigan Labs. And then what this does is it actually looks at all of the various links to all of these websites, and it shows you which ones are getting the links that you don't necessarily have. And so what I did in the SOP is I actually went through that document fairly thoroughly, and then pulled out as much as I could from there. So like Atomic Object has a ton of backlinks from like GitHub. And I don't know if you guys use GitHub or if that's anything that you work with at all. Maybe not.
Yes.
I guess not.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, you do? Okay. So so GitHub actually has a pretty strong rating, and it's something that you can just take advantage of to maybe, I don't remember what it was that's how they did that, but it's in the backlink gap analysis. I feel like it was basically project related, and it's same kind of thing with this, with like this community for developers, stackoverflow.com, you could basically be in some of these forums and just have some developers that like share their ideas. So they say, hey, I just created XYZ for XYZ company. What do you think about this? Or do you know how to fix this issue that we're trying to figure out? And you can pop your links in there. And that's kind of a nice way to be able to earn backlinks that they'd be no follow, meaning like Google wouldn't necessarily, they wouldn't carry as much value, but there's still ways for people to get into your site, and Atomic Object and some of these other companies are taking advantage of those.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, one other thing I always like to, another perspective on links is like links are votes, right? They're kind of votes of confidence, votes of trust. I'm familiar with like Stack Overflow and GitHub back in my, I thought I wanted to be a developer days. So like, yeah, it's like, if you can, strategically, if it's on Stack Overflow, if you're, I think you can even have a business profile with Stack Overflow. But it's just one of those things, like Google understands Stack Overflow is for developers. You guys have developers. You can kind of see where it kind of brings in that validation, right? Just to even make it clear that you guys are on Stack Overflow. So that's why, and then, yeah, what's nice about that backlink gap spreadsheet is it'll show you where multiple competitors have links. And if that's the case, those tend to be a little easier for you guys to go and get a link from, which just kind of, again, helps with that, those votes of confidence.
Yep. Exactly. So we put some other ideas in there, like local colleges, charities is another good one. So if you have charities that you donate to and, they have like a donor page or something like that, those are great ways to earn links, especially if it's, like a DA Blodgett or something like that, it's a local organization. Again, it's going to help you from the local standpoint, local projects. OST is the one that comes to mind with local projects, where I think it was the Spectrum Health app, and that's like one of their best pages. And all it is just showing that they designed Spectrum Health app, and that's really it. It's really nothing special to it.
Yeah.
Sponsorships can be another good one, like Creative Mornings. I don't know if you guys would go to that or have been to that at all, but it's an awesome event if you haven't attended it. But Atomic Object sponsors it, and every time they post something new, they get a new link. And so it's kind of, interesting low-hanging fruit. And then we also created, these are kind of like free links that you could basically just set up profiles with. So like Yellow Pages, I know it's the old phone book, but it still exists, and you can put your name, address, and phone number in there. And again, it's kind of what we were talking about with that stuff earlier. Yelp is another one. Facebook, we suggested adding your Chicago location because it was just the Grand Rapids location that was on there. We talked about Foursquare. MLive's directory is actually a great place. They've got paid listings, but even just the free listings fine. Grand Rapids Business Journal. So, and then put a couple different locations in Chicago as well. But again, it's just different ideas that you could essentially, that you guys can go out and create, and they don't really cost any money or anything like that.
A lot of those, those are kind of the things too. I would like, knock those out right away. Some of those are super easy to just set up.
It's so funny that you're doing this, I've been doing this week because we noticed some of our competitors were coming through some of these websites, like they were getting leads from some of these websites. So I've been like going through and like filling all these out this week. So this is
great.
Really
there you go. Use this as another, checklist.
Yeah, this is great.
So I was just going to say, it's not only does like having these profiles help your organic visibility, but I was just going to say the exact same thing. I think we're listed on Clutch, and obviously a different category, and we get referral traffic from Clutch. I can even see we've gotten, we've converted traffic from there. So it's not just some of these. It's like Yelp, you're probably not going to get a lead. But again, it's just good to have that. But Clutch, Good Firms, I think are ones in the past that I know like we've gotten some leads from.
So another question, I was talking to someone from what is it called, local
first.
Sorry. My brain just short-circuited. Do you guys get leads from there? I know you're listed on there, but I was talking with her this week and was like on the fence about it.
What is it? It's almost like we're only paying like $100 a year or something super low.
It's really low.
I can't say for sure. I'd have to look back in our CRM, but I don't think so. However, I think even, is it next week or in a couple weeks, I'm doing like a Facebook Live with them and somebody else. So like they came to me with this opportunity to help, local business owners, and it's just
Yeah.
like any opportunity just to like help businesses right now is going to be, I know it's going to be huge for our brand later, our
Yeah.
company. So, you know, we wouldn't have had that opportunity if, you know, if we weren't a member. So,
Yeah, I like how invested they are with like everything local and how willing
Oh,
they
yeah.
are to promote all the businesses and all that stuff. So yeah, I talked to her this week and was like, this seems super cool. And then I saw you guys were listed on there. So
Nice. All right, so we've got the backlinks. Let's see, I think the on-page elements was next. Should I go down to the on-page optimization? Okay, so on-page optimization. Let me get to the point. Okay, so the big things with the on-page stuff were around like the meta titles and the title tags. So I put like the, you know, highlighted just different things in here. So the meta title obviously being, you know, the section across the top that shows up in the search engine results page. They're actually doing it, 65 characters is pretty close, but they're doing it by pixels now. And so like, as far as the length goes, so I actually created, I added like a free title length checker that, and I actually think it does both titles and meta descriptions. So you can just go to that. And if you can't find it, you can just Google free title length SEO checker, and there's a million of them that'll pop up.
Yeah, if you are doing, if you're just writing the titles right on the pages though, in WordPress, I think you guys have Yoast, right?
we have Yoast, yeah.
Yoast will show you, it'll show you mobile first anyways. So that's kind of nice. But
Okay, so with the page titles, what I did is I actually created this document, and it's in your folder, but it's called, it's just CIL issues to fix. And I basically just put all the issues that we can fix across the bottom, and, you know, like what the various issues are.
Okay.
So the first page is the audit of just like all the indexed pages. And then I linked to the various sections from here. So like the page titles needing to be optimized. And then I actually put a little bit of information in here too. So like, here's the checker tool. And then there was like certain pages that had like duplicate titles. And then I gave you like a couple of examples of how to do it. So like this was your services page. It currently shows up as services-city innovation labs. And then after optimizing it, it looks like custom software development and design services -city innovation labs. And all that fits into the title bar. And then it just gives you some ideas like, okay, when optimizing titles, you want to focus on the main page objectives. So like in the example above, the services page, you're just making sure that it's highlighting everything on there. Cause it's like services, we don't really know what it is, but if we say custom software development design services, then it's way more specific. And then I actually linked to an in-depth resource too, that'll actually give you a little bit more information about how to write tags, you know, and just very simple around that.
And these, I swear, like, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but if you haven't heard it from me, you're not going to think that. But title tags are just like, it's a gimme, but they're so important. I mean, they're like it's like your ad copy in the search engine results page, right? Like people, especially people that do AdWords, spend so much time, you know, manipulating the title tags for the pay-per-click stuff to just get it right to increase the click-throughs. And yeah, I mean, something like that example right there, I can almost guarantee that you're going to get more clicks through to your website with an optimized title from services to custom software. Like we know that like something more descriptive, clear, that's going to, on a page, people are going to go, oh yeah, I'm more interested in that.
Yep.
And
that perfect example is Origins. We have a client that we work with that's a dispensary in a couple of different states. They were showing up for cannabis related terms, but they weren't showing up for marijuana related terms. We literally just made this switch on like 5 or 6 of their pages, and now they're starting to show up for a bunch of different marijuana terms. And that was all that we changed.
Yep.
Yeah, we need those same terms, luckily. So
the other
software
thing,
development for marijuana.
Only.
Hey, the reality is like if people ever look for that and there's no content for it available on the internet, you could rank for it.
We'll definitely be a first. Yeah, that's true.
I honestly, it's trending, I'm sure.
Innovation right there.
Yeah,
it is.
Well, so the other thing too with that, it's a little tougher in the service-based industries to work this angle, use this tactic. But like I like to use this example. We have a bakery that we've worked with where if you can fit it in the title, you can have a strong call to action to increase that click-through rate. Like the bakery does, wedding cakes, get a free tasting. Like you can fit that into the title. Then think about like a bride searching for, a wedding cake vendor. Like I see free tasting in the search engine results page versus all the other ones I see that don't mention that. Like which one are you going to click on? Mm-hmm. So it's a little trickier in this industry, but there could be, depending on what the pages we're optimizing for or the keyword we're targeting, there could be something there, free consultation, something
free
like
guide
that.
is a big one. So
free
like,
guide,
let's say you create a free guide for developers on how to do X, Y, and Z. Just putting free guide in the title tag sometimes is
it's good.
Works. Okay. Yeah. Or even at the end of it, it'll be like how to do this. And then you put in parentheses and this too. And it's just like, all of a sudden people are like, okay.
People go nuts for it.
It's kind of
people going.
Yeah, to some extent. I mean, if you think a little bit like BuzzFeed, like the way BuzzFeed does their, articles, sometimes it works.
Yep. BuzzFeed always works. I always click on all of them.
Oh yeah, every single. Their click-through rates have got to just be through the roof.
I know.
All right, so we got that, and then the link that I sent through. So I want to make sure that to distinguish the difference between like when you're looking at this list here. So these are all your title tags right here.
Okay.
There's a difference between like fixing an issue with, let's say, like a duplicate title tag, and then just optimizing it all together. So like some of these, like let's say Ask an Innovator or careers or like the services page is the one that we optimize. So there's a number of them that you'd want to go through and actually optimize. But then there's other ones that I specifically created. Thought I had a part on that document, but maybe there was less. Oh yeah, so here's the duplicate title page. So these pages in particular have, this is the title. So it just says Design Archives, City Innovation Lab blog. So you could like go on there and say, design services, or essentially you can just like these ones aren't just, they don't just need to be optimized. They're also causing another issue that's a duplicate issue, if that kind of makes sense. So it's like there's optimization of the title tags, and there's like fixing the various issues.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the title tag. And then there's the meta descriptions, which is obviously pretty similar, but I just took the same page, obviously that being the meta description, and then took the same page. So this is your full list of meta descriptions. And again, it's going to be on this same document here. So you've got your meta descriptions, and then you'll notice some of these like are missing. So those are actually missing meta descriptions. And then I put those on the meta description fixes. So I'll get into that in just a second. So with the meta descriptions, wanted to get down here too. Okay, so services page. So currently your services page is innovation services. Your organization should constantly be innovating, and we can help with that, from providing innovation consulting to facilitating. And then it just kind of blanks out. This just basically means that it's just pulling from a piece of the article, or typically like how your article starts out. Mm-hmm. So to optimize it, you kind of notice how like the description focuses on innovation when the page itself is actually talking about all of the services that you offer. So you could change that to, we provide lean custom software development and design services along with strategic innovation consulting to help your business stay ahead of the competition. So you can actually like almost essentially start selling a little bit in there of why should they click on this, and how are we going to entice them to click on this page.
Love it.
You figure you combine that with then the top title tag, and that's what really optimizes those. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to come back to this section where we were talking about the duplicate meta descriptions. And so what's happening right now is it appears, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it appears that you guys are wanting to run your blog and your podcast on separate domains. Is that right? So you have blog.cityinnovationslab.com for the blog, and then you have askaninovator.com, which is where your podcast lives, right?
So now they just live on the City Innovation Lab site. So all the updates are done on City Innovation Lab. Yeah. So Ask an Innovator and blog ping to our new site, or however they point to it. So we don't even use redirects.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's good. That's good. We always recommend one domain.
I'm just gonna mention one thing. I do have another meeting I got to jump to, but Aaron's got this. So if you guys need anything from me, just like ping me over email or something. So I appreciate all you guys' hard work. This looks awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks guys.
Take
See you later.
Yep. See ya. Bye. Okay, so that's good. So then we may even be able to clean some of this up because essentially the blog and the updates were actually showing as duplicates, but now this is probably all cleaned up. So we might just have to go through and run another crawl and then just look at that, but that shouldn't be an issue anymore. And then these are the pages with the missing meta descriptions. And then I just highlighted them here for you. So you can essentially just kind of click through to those. And some of them are like tag pages. So some of them are a little bit less important. So typically whenever I have like a bigger list like this of pages that you want to go through, I just try to prioritize it towards, you know, like your contact page,
the main pages.
You know, yeah, some of your better pages, and then you can move on to some of your tag pages and some of those kind of things later. Okay, so we talked about that. And then all this is basically just highlighting like how you can optimize your title tags. You can use canonical linking. Some of this is going to be like this one in particular. I was suggesting that you can use better canonical linking if you want to keep your blog separate, but since that's gone, I might just have to go in and just clean some of this up since it won't matter anymore. But that was what that was in there for. Okay, and then after that, your header tags. So like your heading 1 tags on each one of your pages, you want to make sure that there's one. You'll have your primary keyword in there. But I gave essentially most of your pages, you'd want to go through those and review and make sure that there is a title 1 or a heading 1 tag. I think it was the services page, like the current tag on it is innovation, development, and design. And so you're kind of missing some of those things. So you could change it to software development, design, and innovation consulting services. Which is a mouthful to say, but it's geared towards what the page is. Yeah, but it's geared towards what the page is. And more importantly, you're putting software and services in there so that, you know, Google can actually say, okay, these are software development and design services, not furniture development design services or website development design services or anything else.
Furniture development. I like that's where your head went first. Furniture development.
It's Grand Rapids, right?
That's true.
That's funny. Okay, so we highlighted those. And then actually there's just last 2 sections. So let's see, I think it was around indexing. Search this real quick.
Yeah, another thing that I thought might be worth mentioning, that the section there on how the on-page SOP works, and then everything below that, you can essentially like use this as a guide for every page or post that gets published on the website. It's just kind of like that quick little SOP for like, let's make sure we're, you know, creating a page that's SEO optimized in a nutshell. Yep. But more specifically, like Brady's put this together as it pertains to your site now, not just like new pages in the future.
Yep. Okay, so there's a couple indexing things that I wanted to show you. One of the things that we found was that the site was actually not indexing, and it's a pretty common error, especially when you're publishing a site from staging environment to the live environment, is that, and I wanted to basically just point out where it was, but if you go under the settings and reading category and then just scroll to the bottom of it, there's a little checkbox that says discourage search engines from, you know, reading the site. And typically that's what you do in the staging environment. So sometimes when you push it over, it's just easy to forget to uncheck it. So we just basically unchecked that. So if you ever find that it's not indexing or having issues, again, that's typically where I like to look first.
Okay.
Did we, I forgot, we submit their Yoast sitemap to Search Console?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, as you say, yeah,
yep.
that's a good way. Yeah, that works really well. So that way any new pages are going to get indexed like pretty much right away.
Yep. I think the day that I submitted it, I also had them re-index the homepage in like the service pages or something like that. That's actually kind of a good thing too inside of Google Search Console, Aaron, that if you ever like, if let's say you create a design thinking blog and then you go in there and add a bunch of content to it, go into Search Console and request a index, and then they'll put it into their queue. And then next time they index it will be, you know, usually it's about 24 to 48 hours, but they'll put it into their queue and they'll re-index it. And then all of your new content will show available in the search engines versus waiting somewhere 2 weeks, 3 weeks, sometimes longer in order for it to get re-indexed. Okay. And then I think, and this may be fixed, but we just noticed that there's some indexing issues around like some of your blog categories. That may just need to be updated since you have all your categories forwarding now and living on one site. So that may be a little bit dated. But I just want to highlight that. And then I want to highlight too there were some pages that we found that were 404 errors. So like, it looked like you guys had updated your URL and the culture to innovative culture. So just make sure that you 301 redirect your old URL to your new URL, and then Google will make sure to pass through all the domain juice and what's called the page rank through to all these, and all these are the same thing. So, and they're typically like later pages on blog posts. You guys may have cleaned some of those up so that they're on single, they're maybe on, it goes to 2 pages now instead of 4. So you can just 301 redirect these to the main pages.
Perfect.
And that's the 8 things I wanted to go through.
A lot. There's a lot in there.
Yes. So I have like 8 weeks worth of work to do.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And then some.
Yeah,
8 to 10.
So,
8 to 10.
there you
But
go.
the fact that your blog and your the podcasts are forwarding now and living in one space, that actually cleans up a lot of it. And I actually think that's one of the bigger things that you can do to really have all the power in one spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, essentially, this main document here, if you haven't noticed through walking through all this, is kind of like where you start, but then we obviously have branches of all these different documents. So I think you should have access to the entire folder that this document, all the other supporting documents live in. But yeah, this is pretty much it. This is where we can unleash you. And again, obviously, under normal circumstances, we say, hey, how can we help you with this? You know, is it you do, we assist, or we do, you assist? But I think for now, we understand that you guys are in a tight situation, just like everybody else. So we'll get to that eventually. But I fully trust Aaron and your ability to execute on a lot of this stuff. So,
This is amazing, you guys. This document is ridiculous. I love it. It's so thorough, and so I can't wait to like look through all of it.
Good.
Awesome.
I'm glad to hear that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Awesome.
and feel free to reach out if you have questions or, you know, just different things you're kind of wondering through, like, hey, how do I do this? Or, hey, this page is goofy, so the way that you set it makes sense for every other page, but for this page, it's just not linking up. You know, what do you do in that scenario?
Okay.
Right, those kind of things. Yep. And I think we linked to it, like Lance said, from this document, but again, all these documents are also in that folder. So if you ever either can't find it on the doc or just want to jump into the folder, it's all there.
Yep.
Okay. Perfect. And can you send us an invoice? And then the way that we were going to do it is, can we pay it down like week by week, like $500 a week or something like that, just to keep our cash flow like okay?
Totally. Yep. Whatever you need. We are currently lucky, blessed to not be in a dire situation to where we need that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, like we're not that either, but our financial person was like, if we could just like pay parts of it, just so I know like our cash flow is good. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll see if that works for them. So, if you send it to her, then I'll just like send it to me. I'll send it to her and then ping you back with like what her plan is to get it paid down.
That works.
So.
Yeah. I'll let Rayanne know. Yeah.
Sorry, we have to do that.
No, it's fine. It's good.
All right.
Awesome.
It happens.
Well, thank you, Aaron.
It's happened to all of us, right?
Yeah. It's weird times, but thank you guys so much. This is amazing. You guys did great things. And if you guys do reviews or referrals or anything like that, just let me know and I'll do them or ping people or whatever you need.
Yeah. I'll send you. Hey, we know Google reviews matter. I'll send you a link right now.
Okay. Do it.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
We really appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah. And I'll send you a link to this recording too. That way, if you want to go back to it, it might be helpful. So
yeah, that's great. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks, Aaron.
Bye, guys.
Have a good weekend.
Talk to you soon.
You too. Bye.
Yeah.